Nothing beats the feeling of a good horror show. You know, going watching movies that you love with other people that are like-minded. There's cool vendors there half the time. Just a real sense of community, as well as, you just get to see some cool movies, especially if there's something cool like showing them on 35 millimeter. And that's exactly what Hudson Horror Show did. As a matter of fact, it was so cool, they did it like 18 times. 18 times is a lot for a show. 18 times is a lot for anything. You know how many things I've done in my life 18 times? Well, Wait. No. 4. Oh. What's up, folks? You've got Rob from Terror at Synth High, and I'm really glad to show you guys this interview today because this was one that I was excited to do and wanted to do for a while. I knew when I started this channel this was going to be something that I wanted to do and talk with these guys because it was a show that I love. It's my favorite show to go to, for watching horror movies. So yeah, really excited to do it. I have a lot of respect for these guys, and of course, I'm doing the interview. Wouldn't it be funny if I just started doing interviews with people I had like no respect for? Oh man, that'd be good. That's a good show idea. Guys, today I got to meet with Tom. Tom works at the gas station down the road from me, and he is a dick. Woo! Tell us a little bit about that, Tom.
That's a good question. Thanks for having me. I guess my dad was kind of a dick. And, I don't really like treating people with any sort of dignity.
Wait, you! I know you! But you're that guy. You're that guy who buys all the donuts and then sits in his car and eats them while he cries. Yeah, and then you come inside with the bathroom. Somebody's got to clean that bathroom, man. That's not funny.
No, nobody wants to talk about that, okay? I asked the questions, Tom, all right? Well, unlike Tom, I do have respect for the three gentlemen you're about to see, and that would be Chris, who created the whole Hudson Horror Show, and Dan and Sean, who were two of the people that really helped to put the show on. So yeah, join us as we talk about what Hudson Horror Show was and what made it so great. Guys, we're here with Chris Alo and Dan Deyo of Hudson Horror, and Sean, I'm sorry, I don't know your last name.
Right, it's McDonald.
McDonald. If I guessed like 3 or 4 times, I probably would have gotten there. Pretty common. So what's going on, guys? Just trying to get everybody together. I'm really happy, to do this interview with you guys. Hudson Horror has a very big place in my heart, being one of the greatest, shows around the area in the Hudson Valley in New York. So why don't you guys just, tell us what you do with Hudson Horror, what that's been for you guys.
Well, we were doing all 35 millimeter film programming in Poughkeepsie, New York. We would do an all-day show. We did 18 of them, if I remember right. And we would do anywhere from 5 to 6 horror, sci-fi, and exploitation movies at each festival, with lots of 35 millimeter trailers. We had vendors selling all sorts of horror-related wares. It was a lot of fun. We did 18 of these festivals, give or take, and we did quite a few double and triple features in Poughkeepsie, as well as the Alamo Draft House in Yonkers. So we did it for nine straight years. It was a blast. Unfortunately, in early 2019, Silver Cinemas Theater, where we were running in, they went out of business. So we took a little time and started to look around to find where to go to next. We kind of had an idea in early 2020. We even picked up a couple new 35 millimeter film prints. So we were definitely planning on coming back in 2020. And then, of course, the virus hit, and that put all our plans on ice, like so many other people unfortunately had plans changed, and that's where we're at. We're just kind of waiting and seeing, and I have a feeling 2021 is out, but maybe 2022. If I'm not too old, we can bring it back.
Don't go dying on us there.
I'm getting really
you better
old.
not be too old.
Yeah, don't worry. Even if you get old, Chris, we could still put the hammer in your hand.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Grandpa can just come on.
Yeah.
So Chris, this is your baby, right? I mean, you started this, and then I know it's probably what would you say, like maybe like a dozen of you or so kind of helped and held this group together. I know that Dan, you're a big part of this, and Sean, you were a part of this as well. So where did this idea kind of come from, or where did you guys? When did you know that you wanted to do this, and how did you really put this together? Because this is a big project, man. I mean, I had like a small horror appreciation club. And that was a lot. So putting this together is a big thing. So how did that come to be?
Well, I mean, long story short, I was always the guy that did movie nights at my house when we were younger. So all these guys would come over. I mean, I was the first guy to get a VCR, and then more importantly, a year later, I was the first guy to get 2 VCRs. So then I started building up a collection, and I became a tape trader and started trading with people around the world. And then I was the first guy to get a Laserdisc player, the first guy to get a surround sound system, first guy to get a DVD player, and so on. So these guys would come over, and we would watch weird movies.
What you got new, Chris?
Yeah, we'd watch weird stuff from around the world, and it was always a blast. It was always fun showing these guys weird movies, some of which were pretty bad, and or when it came to Laserdisc, like, I got the new THX version of Terminator, or the new first ever Roan Laserdisc of Zombie, or whatever. It would look good, sound good. So that was always my kind of thing. And then I went to some screenings from Exhumed Films in Philadelphia, and it was mind blowing. To see the old stuff projected off film on the screen, it was amazing. Those guys had already been doing it for years. And I talked to the missus about it, and she was, we went to a bunch of other shows, and she was like, she's like, you love having the boys over, you love going to these other people's shows, but you're always saying, they showed Halloween 4. I wish they would have showed Halloween 3 or whatever. So it was really her idea. She was like, well, you know a lot of people, you have a lot of friends. Why don't you try and do a show? So I thought, okay, I did. So, I roped all the boys in, Dan and Sean and Marcos and Errol and Glenn, and Tad Leger was doing work for Grindhouse Releasing. And Grindhouse, they're amazing. They have a vault of 35 millimeter film prints. So Tad reached out to them to see if they would let us borrow a couple prints, and they were so gracious and kind. They helped us. So without Tad and without Grindhouse, we couldn't have got our start. Yeah, everything was Grindhouse. And
Awesome.
that was it. It worked. My whole thinking with every show over the 9 years was, well, if we do a show and it can at least pay for itself, then we'll do another show. And that's how it worked. It always, some shows did better than others, and the motivation was never money. I've had many people over the years ask how to do it or whatever, and I always say you need money to start. You need a lot of friends who are going to work their ass off for you for free, and hopefully you don't lose your shirt. And if you're doing it because you want to make money, you're in the wrong business. This is all about the love of the movies, and the awesome communal experience of watching these movies off film with an audience, because that's how these movies were made to be seen.
Right. That's awesome. And I gotta say, 2 VCRs is fucking clout, man. Like that is that's.
Listen, let me tell you, back in the 80s, that was like gold. You didn't have YouTube or any internet sites where you could easily get this stuff. So it was either you went to a show and you scoured, or you traded tapes and got stuff. Because I know that there was plenty of times where, Chris would show us something and there'd be a bunch of us like, yo, I need a copy of that.
That's awesome.
Make me a copy of that one, I
So,
mean,
so you guys were all friends from when you were very young, it sounds like then, right? And growing up together?
yeah.
Sean and Dan are still young. I'm the old man.
Yeah. I mean, going back, I think I first met Chris. I want to say I was like 13.
Oh yeah, you were.
He was friends with my brother and my older brother, and I became friends with Chris, through just hanging out and watching movies and having a like kind of a you know like the same music, like the same movies, you like the same humor, and just
Yeah.
like you become friends in that sense. So I think
Absolutely.
it was good, and I think we all really like all the friends that kind of like pledged our services to Chris and doing this show. I think we feel the same way. We all have the same mindset when it comes to that. So.
And that brings me to one of the main things, because I started going, I think it maybe show 6 or 7, I can't even remember what shirt's this from. What's this shirt from? I don't even remember which one.
Idea.
I don't know. Anyway, and it was a different. That was always cool too, because it was a different shirt each time.
Sean's gonna look it up.
Okay.
I honestly, it's always a bit of a blur. So obviously, I know that's the show we did. They Live.
Yes.
That's 10. Okay, so
That
Sean
was
said
10.
that.
Okay, I was there before that, so this isn't the first shirt I had. I think it was like
Okay.
6, 7. Anyway, so I was there for like half of them maybe, because it took me a little to hear about him. I heard about him through a friend of mine. And I was like, how have I been missing this? So then I started going, and one of the things that was really really cool for me is that, and I think for I don't want to speak for everybody, but for everybody that I know that it was a part of the show, either as a vendor or as a viewer, and I did both. I did vending, and I also did just as a participant and just coming and watching the movies. Was that it always felt like a community, right? It always felt like a very close knit community, and it comes from, I guess, you guys setting it up that way to begin with, right? With your friendship and your just the model of how it was set up. It sounds like. But what else do you think really kind of kept it like that, as opposed to some of these other, conventions and shows that feel maybe a little more cold or a little more widespread where people aren't as connected? What do you think kind of contributed?
I'm not sure. Maybe Dan and Sean can add, but I don't know. I don't know what it was. But you are right, because I heard from many people over the years that other people's particular shows have a lot of hipsters or people that just want to come and make fun of the movies, or just people that just shouldn't be there. And they always seem to mention to me that our show wasn't like that. That our show was different. But I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know if you guys can.
Well, I'd probably say it's from you, Chris, because it is. It is.
I think it is. I think a lot has to do with Chris. I mean, Sean could, attest. He always says that Chris is the face of the show, and without him, it wouldn't be anything, because Chris is really a personality. So,
For sure.
Getting up in front of, the audience, I mean, when you go to shows like this, typically when someone gets up in front of the audience and is like, all right, and starts to speak, you're usually probably rolling your eyes like, all right, dude, just play the movie already. But I think it's different, with when Chris speaks. I think that people don't mind, because Chris is funny, he's personable, and, he has an extremely, wide sense of knowledge and history with all of these movies and all the trailers and just everything that goes on in the show, that I think it's kind of like it's like, for some people it's like seeing Elvis. Like I know it's weird to say, but it's like, yo, this is my Graceland, man, because Chris is a cool guy, he has it's really, he holds the crowd. So I mean, we've always said that, and I think I think there's other aspects to the show. There's like aspects like you know, the artwork that goes into it, like you were saying, like Tad, and you know, we've had Dez, and you know,
Yeah.
other
The
people
team
that have
with the shirts.
contributed, putting like imagery to the show. Sean actually is, you know, has collected, you know, movies and trailers since the conception of the show. And like really, like the, you know, the trailers that are played in between the movie is, you know, they're Sean's collections.
They're all Sean.
Predominantly.
Oh wow, okay.
So
I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I mean, without Sean's trailers, you know, we might have some boring, you know, segues into movies. And then, you know, for me, it was like the first show we had like one table, and I don't think we had any vendors, right?
None.
We
Yeah,
had-
just like
we had-
yeah.
just the card table. And then the next show, I think Chris had a couple people come.
Yeah.
I don't know how many, but it was like probably like 2 or 3, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, there was kind of like looking at the space we had to work with, I was like, man, we got to get more people in here, you know. And I love vendors. Like, I love going to flea markets, and I love looking at stuff, and I love going to record shows, and I love doing all that stuff. And for me, I'm like, yo, can I, if I do this, like, hey, do you mind if I like invite, you know, if I get vendors, and maybe we could even, because at the time it was kind of, we were still scrounging for money. It's like, hey man, we got to like rent these prints and rent the theater. And
Right.
Chris was paying a lot of it out of his pocket. So we're like, wait a minute, we got to figure something out. I'm like, hey, if we can get some vendors, they can make money. You know, we don't charge them an arm and a leg, but then at the same time, we get a little money so that we can continue this thing, right? So I think it worked out. It kind of like, you know, it added that like kind of con atmosphere, but I don't think we ever got too pretentious, or at least I hope we didn't.
I can speak to that because I was a vendor there, and I was just drinking beer with the other vendors and bullshitting with the special guests that would come, and I had a great time while making some contacts and just selling. You know, I was doing like the signs and everything, and a couple of the mugs, and I, you know, tried out some of my candle stuff when I first started doing that there. But yeah, no, it was a great experience to be, like I said, in both parts. Just you know, watching the movies and also doing the vending, and I think that's. Yeah, everyone that I talked to about it, which is, you know, most people there either knew personally or knew of like pretty much everybody else there. And I thought that kind of contributed to it too. You like knew, oh, that guy. Oh yeah, he's a friend of him. Oh, he's cool, you know? So yeah, no, it's a very good atmosphere.
I can go on and on. It's like, you know, we had the theater staff was amazing. You know,
Yes.
we had, you know, George
and John. Yeah.
You know, and all the rest of the staff were awesome. They let us like do our thing there, you know, and with you know, with glee, like they were happy to do it. You know, we had Bill that was, you know, he's our doorman. We couldn't hold back a sellout crowd without him. And then you know, and then we have Marcos, Denise, I mean, working the front. And then we had like more people join on, like James and Ann and
James and Ann working the shirts and just,
yeah,
you know, just,
and whatnot. I mean, the list goes on.
Like we were saying earlier, the whole community part. Yeah, I mean, you know, this sort of show. It's way bigger than a one-man operation. So, you know, if anybody that wanted to attempt something similar, yeah, you got to rope in a lot of people, a lot of friends, because there's too many things. There's too much going on. But yeah, people love the vendors. I love the vendors, like Dan and Sean. I love looking at stuff and buying toys and buying T-shirts. And I know eventually we would let people just come that just wanted to shop the vendors.
Right.
You know, obviously they weren't allowed to go watch the movies. But if people just wanted to shop the vendors, we were totally cool with that.
Yeah.
Because not everybody could spend, you know, 12 hours in a movie theater, 14 hours in a movie theater. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because that's the other thing to mention that I don't think I think you said it in the beginning, but yeah, this was an all-day event. This was like this was like a 5 movies kind of a thing usually, right? And then
I was going to say we started at 5. We eventually went to 6, and it was 6 movies plus trailers.
Yep.
Plus breaks in between. So, what you guys remember the start times? Was it like 10 o'clock in the morning?
Oh, usually at doors at like 10, 10:30.
Yeah.
We give about an hour to mingle and process
It was
everybody
like
in
11.
first band. And then it's usually first movie around noon. And we would try to end by midnight. That never happened.
Yeah, never. Usually ran at least till 1 in the morning, sometimes later. And, sometimes you run a movie that's 2 hours or longer, so then that just, makes the day longer. But, it is what it is. We didn't have many complaints. So I think we
would have stayed till 3 in the morning.
Yeah, and we always, we always, would do the hand stamp thing so that if there was a movie you didn't want to see, or you needed a break, or you needed to go to, go to a restaurant, you could just leave and just come back whenever you wanted.
right.
Which I was always, I always liked that back.
Right. Yeah, no, that was good for me because I can't do more than a few movies at a time. So that's why eventually I'm just like, maybe I'll just bend because then I can I can sit around. Like I just can't sit in the same seat. I got to get up and get around and all. But that's a great way to do it though, because then everybody can see what they want, still get to talk to people, go in and out, get food, whatever else they need to do. I think that was a very comfortable atmosphere too. I think I made that really comfortable for people.
For sure.
Yeah. So Sean, you're part of it because I wasn't really aware of what your part of it was. So you did a lot with the trailers and bringing all those in and that kind of aspect of it.
Yeah. So I'll say this. I mean, Chris is 99.9999% of the show. I mean, putting it all together. The rest of us, I mean, we contribute pennies, but it is a group effort.
They all do a lot.
But it's Chris. I mean, the amount of work he puts in isn't even fathomable in terms of getting rights. Leasing the theater, insurance, obtaining the prints, all that stuff is just
selling the tickets.
It's just so much legwork, so wherever we can help out, Dan with the vendors, Glenn with the online stuff, the videos, with friends doing artwork, my brother doing canvassing to websites, getting promotions that way, and I said, all right, well, how can I contribute? And just looking then after that first show, I remember because the first trailer I bought was the Monday after Hudson Horror 1. Conan the Barbarian was the first trailer I ever bought, and I says, "All right, I got one trailer down, Chris, so we're almost."
You can loop that bad boy over.
Yeah.
Well, because I showed every trailer. I only owned a handful of trailers, maybe like a dozen. And we for the first show they were all mine. So I ran everything we had at the first one. So if Sean hadn't put in, we just keep running the same ones over and over again.
So we eventually played them. But so then it becomes a little bit addiction. Me and Chris have a problem with collecting things. So
I'm sure
I said, all right, well,
yeah, and
I'll contribute. So let me dig for some gems. Let me get some trailers. Let's get stuff for future movies we're going to want to show. Let's tease the audience in terms of if we show this, it'll pop up at another show, and then that leads to buying the actual film prints, and now we got not a big collection, but we got a sizable enough collection in terms of the actual movies and 35 millimeter trailers. And I know exactly how many I have because I just moved, so I know how many I had to move out of my basement, canister-wise and box-wise of trailers and stuff like that. So, like Chris was saying, we've got a big stockpile. We're ready to go when we get the green light. We're going to blitz people with a pretty amazing show, hopefully.
I think when you add up all these elements, it's like if you freaking hate the movies, then you might like the trailers. But if you hate both of them, you might like one of the vendors. And if you hate all that, you might just like the T-shirt with the artwork on it. That we're
get them from every angle.
Yeah, and if you don't like anything,
rope them in.
Yeah.
No, it was all. It always felt very heartfelt, and yeah, like I said, that's why I was asking because I wasn't sure, exactly what everybody did, and obviously, Chris and Dan, we've talked many times, and I know I've talked with Dan probably the most because when I was vending and all, and I know that you were dealing with the vendors and all that aspect of it, and that was your main contribution, right, Dan? Like doing with the like kind of like the business development side, it seemed like to me.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. I mean, now that Sean brings it up, like, I've, I kind of like worked with a lot of, I talked to his brother a lot in regards to like, hey, how do we get the word out? Because at first, the first couple shows, like the word was definitely, it was slow to get out. And that's one of the biggest things. It's like, how do we get asses in seats, right? I mean, because, like Chris said, it's not about the money, but it's like, if you're having one of these shows, you want to have people there to enjoy it.
Right. It's a big investment, a lot of time investment. You want it to pay off. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. Because, the idea, like Chris said, if it's a complete failure, then we're not having another one.
Right.
So we couldn't let it be a failure. It was like, how do we get the word out? So Errol did a lot of that, like, reaching out to, I that totally slipped my mind. And when you said it, I just realized, reaching out to like websites, magazines,
every single one.
Oh my God, like everybody, dude, like, any website that had any horror news even close to it. I mean, at one point we were like talking to the Hudson Valley like tourism lady. Literally everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I had at one point talking with Errol, I had the idea of like, let me call and reach out to what is it?
Channel 2?
What is it?
Channel 2. The radio station, WPDH.
Yes. So I reached out to PDH, and Sean and Chris went on air and did an interview
A few times.
Yeah, I think we went on like 4 times.
Yeah.
I kept calling back like, yo, we got another show. We were, we didn't have the following at that point, and we needed more people to really like understand it. But I think what really did it, I don't know, I think like just people, seeing Chris at every single event ever. I don't even want to say just on the East Coast because sometimes you might see a Chris Alo on the West Coast.
That's true.
And you might just bump into him. And just, Chris being Chris, the word getting out by like word of mouth and stuff like that. And then just really like, I don't know what show we finally sold out was, but I remember.
4? Okay. Show 4.
It was, I just remember it was like, it was an amazing feeling. It was like, oh my God, this thing is actually working.
Yeah, show 4 was the first time we pre-sold out. No one will be admitted at the door unless Chris lets you in anyway.
And then, Chris could talk to this, but then you realize that sucks because once you sell out, what happens, Chris?
Yeah, you can't sell any more tickets. So what do we do then? Oh, well, then we opened a second theater.
Yep, I remember that when you guys started doing the second. Yep.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't turn anybody away.
I always felt really bad whenever somebody came to the show and we had to turn them away. I felt really bad because I've been to shows and nothing worse than you get in your car and you drive to a show and the show's sold out. So that's why I used to emphasize, listen, buy your tickets in advance because the early days you could just walk up. But as we got, thanks to everybody's help, and we got the ball rolling. Once the ball was rolling, then you can't wait anymore, and it was a sellout, every time.
I'll say the biggest probably attribute to our popularity was definitely word of mouth. So,
Yes.
The first show, we got 100-something people in there, but they had such a good time. They saw what the show was about. to hear Chris Alo tell stories and speak, and the passion that he has, and he knows how to run a show. He knows what makes a show successful. So then those 100 people tell their friends. So the next show, we're almost at capacity. And then the third show, we sell out at the door, with the walk-ups. And we did pre-sales for show 4 at show 3. And then when he first put the official sale up for show 4 tickets, I think it was like a day or two, sold out. Yeah. So
that is a surefire sign that you did a great job, and that everybody loved it. Like I said, I can only speak for myself, but everyone else that I know really.
Yeah, we always did our surveys as to how did you hear about the show? What do you like to see changed? What do you like to see played? But it seemed to be a consensus. It was just like, I heard it from a friend. I heard it from a friend. I heard it from a friend. My friend dragged me here, and it was like later on, like show 4, 5, 6, 7, and that's when we got our core group of hardcore fans and people that came to every show around that like second year mark, and then they were diehard. Then they're at every show. Chris didn't even have to say what day the show is. Just I'll be there. Where's my ticket? Here's the money. So
and we've become friends with most of them, a majority.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, that was definitely a side thing that I never really thought about was becoming friendly with so many people that would come to the show or the staff of Silver Cinemas, or that was great. Who can't use more friends?
Lifelong friends.
Yeah. So
a win.
Absolutely.
That's awesome, man. So listen, I know this year's a bust. But I know you had some things lined up for the possible future, and I really hope those come to fruition. And because I would love to come to another show. You tell me where. I missed a couple of them at the end there due to some other circumstances, but I am ready to come back whenever you have one, and I'm sure everybody else would be too.
Yeah, we're hoping so. I mean, that's the thing that's a little scary. Like, all right, the longer we're removed from having the show, we kind of hope, all right, well, will people come back when we do get it together? And, fingers crossed, hopefully they will.
We'll be retro by then.
Oh, yeah, we'll be retro again?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Another way to rope them in.
We'll see. But, yeah, we're optimistic. Like I said, we never would have bought more movies if we weren't planning on getting it together again. So we're hopeful once things are better, we'll try and fire it up again.
Well, I'll be there, and I'll tell all my friends.
Awesome.
Thank you guys so much for joining today with me, and just talking a little bit about all this. Something that it was just a great time for everybody, and giving a little more insight to me, just about kind of how things started for you guys, and looking forward to the future.
I would say, I guess, just tell everybody, keep their eyes on HudsonHorror.com and Hudson Horror on Facebook, and we've been inactive for a while because there's no point in sending out emails to everybody saying, well, we're going to do something when we can't do something, because I'm sure everybody kind of figured that out by now. But yeah, once things are better, knock on wood, we hope to be back.
You heard him, folks. Chris works way too hard for you to be fucking around with this, so make sure you check it out, all right?
Awesome.
Take care, guys.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
So, folks, that wraps up my interview with Chris, Dan, and Sean from Hudson Horror Show. Thanks to them for doing this interview with me, and thank you guys for watching. I really do think I could be on to something, though, with doing a show, interviewing people that I actively, really dislike. Right? That could be fun. It could be like, put in the comments, what's wrong with this idiot? What do you think? Let's all laugh at him. Right? That'd be fun. I should probably get insurance. Yeah, definitely. That can go south real quick. Thank you.